Guys, sometimes things just work out. We need to cut a square into here, 11¼ inches. Square. Guess what the diameter is of this circle? 11¼ I did not do that on purpose. All right, I'm in South Jersey again. I'm here to replace this ventilation fan. It's been a couple of weeks, but finally got a chance to get down here again. So we're gonna see what it takes to get this old Sears Roebuck through the wall ventilation fan out. As you can see, we got our money's worth out of this one. I don't know how long it's been in here, but there are some fasteners around this housing piece here. There's one there, so hopefully they'll come loose. There is power supply there, so this motor basically would plug in, and then the pull chain came through that and links to the door. So when you pull it to activate the fan, the louver trap door automatically opens to let the airflow out. So we're gonna check for the breaker for this. We wanna disconnect the power to that because we're gonna have to take that apart at some point. And it looks like it's gonna be 80 degrees today, but clear. The sun's starting to peek up already there. So I put this umbrella up so I can have some shade while I work. I got the circuit shut off for the power supply, but first thing I noticed, there was some flashing up here that was covering the top part of the housing of this fan, so that all had to come down. So I have the flashing removed, and then there was a little piece of board up there that a couple of these nails went in, so we'll possibly be putting that back into place. But next thing I'm gonna do is loosen these screws and see what comes loose, because I'm not sure how this actually comes out of the wall. There is some part of the housing goes right to the behind of the siding as well, so we'll have to pull that loose a little bit to get this whole thing out of here. All right, those 3 screws came out very easily. So this is basically over top of the stove top in the kitchen, so all of this is like lubricant. It's kitchen grease particles that were in the air as this was venting, so everything is pretty much well lubed, so those screws came right out very easily. I don't think any of this is actually corrosion except on the outside. That's actually just layers of kitchen grease, so everything should be nice and lubed and be able to come out pretty easily. So when I push on this, the whole housing moves. So I'm gonna go inside and see if I can, through that grate, take the screws out for this motor assembly and just take that out to get it out of the way, and then see how I can pull this housing out through the wall. So I was pleasantly surprised. There's 2 little screws here that on either side that hold that motor assembly in. So just sticking the driver through the grate, loosening them, actually loosens that whole plate, so the whole cover comes off. Easy peasy. Now I can get to the junction box for the electric very easily, disconnect that, and this whole housing should just slide out of this hole. One thing I did forget is knee pad. If you're working on your knees, gotta have knee pads. So I just made my own here. Screws are out for that cover plate, so now I'll just disconnect this power. There's 2 screws holding this junction box in, so now that comes out. And that box is out. The ground was connected here in the bottom of the box with that little screw there in that open hole, and then it just slid right off of those wires there. And then you want to just tuck these wires into the wall a little bit to make room, and this whole housing slides out. All right, looks like interior work is done. We're gonna head back outside, and the rest of this should pull out from the outside. And something tells me this is gonna be the fun part, because I don't see any fasteners around the outside edge at all to see how this is attached to the outside wall, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just pushed in, and those 3 screws literally hold this whole thing in place. You know, there's not any pressure on this. The only thing that's mounted in it is the motor. As long as that's balanced, the fan will spin without vibration. There shouldn't be any type of impact or anything on the actual housing to where you would need to secure it with a whole lot of fasteners, but we will see. I'm actually going to remove this door because it is highly annoying. So I just got to release one of these pins here to get the spring assembly detached from it, but I already popped these hinges loose, so once I get that pin out, I can get the door out and get it out of my way. So this whole bottom piece is loose. don't think there's fasteners around the bottom edge because it is actually covered and secured by the siding, but I do see a nail fastener up in this corner, which I can't get anything into, so I gotta figure out how to get that out. And then I looked up here and all I see is a bunch of plaster. There's no way to really get a hammer up here, so I don't know how it was secured across the top. So it may just be that plaster, some kind of construction adhesive. So we'll keep playing around and see how to get this thing out. All right, sometimes you just gotta rip, bleep, or bust. So that's what I did, and it came out. There was a fastener down the bottom corner here as well as the one on the top, but that was it. Looks like everything else was just construction adhesive holding it in across the top. So it is out. Now I gotta clean up, take some measurements. I'm gonna have to do some reframing to install the new one, but the old one is successfully out. All right, here's the new fan. It is all plastic, so it will not corrode. It is more easily able to be taken apart for cleaning. I was hoping, it's a little bit different design of how you power it. So the old one, as you saw, the plug for the motor was inside the housing through the wall housing. This one, I have to read the instructions, but I don't think there is an option because there's no holes underneath. There's no holes through the housing. So I may have to install an outlet, which is fine. I can run those cords from the wall down and install an outlet and then just be able to plug it in. And jackpot. So what I did was there's a blank cover plate covering that area there. And it's on the same wall as where the ventilation fan was. So my hunch was that when they installed this fan, because of the style of the housing it had, and you plugged it in inside the housing, they basically just, you know, used that as a junction box and ran wires up to it. And that's exactly what they did. So I just turned the breaker back on just to make sure that this had power and it's on the same circuit. So what I'm gonna do is shut the power back off, take all this apart, and I brought an outlet with me so I can install an outlet right here. And then that fan, when it's installed, will just plug in right here. All right, that outlet box is cleaned up, but of course they didn't leave me much slack to work with, so I'll deal with that later. But right now we gotta get this into a square because the new housing is square. It's not round like this. So get my measurements, mark that out, and get my oscillating tool and cut it. Guys, sometimes things just work out. We needed to cut a square into here, 11¼ inches. Square. Guess what the diameter is of this circle? 11¼ I did not do that on purpose. When I measured for the new fan, I did a rough measurement of the old fan without taking anything out of the wall and guessed that it was around 11¼ size that I would need, or as close to 11 inches as possible. So when I ordered the new fan, you know, I matched up the dimensions to match as close to that as possible. And the dimensions to install that into the wall is 11¼ as it turns out. And the diameter of this sleeve is exactly 11¼ So all I have to do is measure off, square these edges, and it'll fit right in that exact same spot. Sometimes things just work out, and you gotta make a point to acknowledge them because things usually don't work out more often. But when things do work out, take time to acknowledge it. All right, I got that marked off, and I just came up with this little idea. I was gonna cover the stove and everything with trash bags. I didn't bring any drop cloths, but if you tape that like that, it's not, you know, there's gonna be dust and stuff, but any heavy debris, anything falls off of there, it's gonna fall into the bag. I got the inside cut and the fan fit. Now we're gonna go check out the outside, and this existing outlet here doesn't quite reach, so I'm gonna get an extension cord, test the fan before we get any further as well. All right, I got the fan plugged in. This fan actually pulls air out or pulls air in. as well as obviously shuts off when it's off. The louvers are closed, so first pull exhausts fan, sends it to the outside. Second pull reverses direction and pulls air in for just air circulation. And a third pull turns it off. So simple operation, and there's more features. It's an upgrade to the old fan that was just simply off or on exhausting fan, but this one has another option of bringing air in. If it's a nice outside, you can just turn that option on and bring fresh air inside the house and open some windows and circulate. This is what it looks like from the outside. So I am going to trim this side here to clean it up so it looks a little nicer, and then I'll definitely going to cut at least one more stud to lay inside here, and then I might just get some flashing. There is the top of the stud here, so it's going to be hard to cut a 2x4 and lay it in there. And this is already clear of the bottom edge of that new fan, and the top is clear. So, and this is already against the stud that's already there. So I might just run out and get some flashing. The garage might have some already, but I could cut some flashing and kind of lay it in here to cover all of this, frame it out so it looks nice and clean. So basically this is what it's going to look like from the outside when that fan operates. The louver's just open. So we have all this rough edging now to cover up and make look nice again. I got the outside edge cleaned up a little bit better, and then I cut a couple of 2x4s to add some more framing inside the wall there to shore it up. And there's like a hacked off stud here, so I can't really fill that space, but I filled what I could in the bottom here. That's already there. There's a bunch of snaggle tooth up here, so I can't really do anything up there either, but the inside's all covered and finished when we install the fan. But the outside, I did find some flashing in the garage, so I'm going to cut some flashing to cover as far inside as I can, and then when the fan sits in there, you'll see a finished edge from the outside. I found some flashing in the garage, so I didn't have to run out to get any, but I don't have very good tin snips. As you can see, there's very rough edges, but that'll be cleaned up when I finish this upper part here with some flashing, and I'll run some construction sealant down the top, down the side here, and all of the seams and everything will be caulked with exterior construction sealant, so it'll be in good shape. All right, we're gonna secure this fan now to the inside. I just had it setting in there so I could see where things lined up on the outside to button up that flashing, but we'll secure this on the inside and then go back outside, double check things, and then get the caulking done. Oh, and I also got this outlet finished, so that was just minor electrical, just splicing in the outlet, just 3-wire, or I should say 2-wire with the ground, but that is in place too, so we're ready to just button this up, plug her in, and start using it. And all of the cleanup too. All right, that's all buttoned up. There was a shroud here that goes on first that gives it that tubular look inside. That just snaps on. It's all plastic with little clips from molded into the plastic, so that just snaps on, and then this grill snaps onto it, and that was a little tighter, probably just so it doesn't vibrate off, but that also clips onto the shroud. So that is it. And then we're gonna plug her in, and I will be getting some wire cover here to make that look nicer from that spot to where the fan is. But turn it on to exhaust, 1 click, louver's open, 2nd click, stops and reverses, and draws air in. You can definitely feel that airflow. And then 3rd click turns it off. Also, I noticed when I was fitting this and checking things before I installed it, before I secured it into the wall, I had all the electronics on this side and it had to pull to the side. So I basically had it installed sideways, so the louvers now lift up outside instead of sideways. And I think in the instructions you can kind of configure how you want that mounted, so you can pull in different directions, but the way it is from the factory, it pulls down from the right side here, and the power cord comes out of the right side also. So I just spun it and before I secured it into the wall. All right, we're done sealing things up. So I just got some construction adhesive here for all materials and sealed up all of the crack scratches. There's some pretty big gaps here along the stack here. So the construction adhesive I have is pretty thick and tacky, so I just filled all that in here like decorating a cake. And this is a job done. That'll do it for another project down in South Jersey, and follow along for more repair videos. I'm still working on my master bathroom at home, so there'll be more of that coming along soon too. And remember, time is everything. Money is a tool, and we can't afford to waste either one. Last tag.